Oh my god, that is the most frightening thing I've ever seen in my life. That light just has to be in line with me. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to do this because my Mac is very old and I'm pretty sure there's something stuffed down into the microphone sprockets, so that audio is very questionable. I guess this is kind of the point of going live, is once your channel goes live, it's just like it goes and you're like, oh wait, hello, can you hear? Am I on? I sound like an old man. Yeah. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm trying not to talk too loud because my girlfriend went to bed and she's just down the hallway, but I kind of have to talk a little loud because the microphone trouble. I also don't want to annoy these precious darlings over here. Our more closer, darker furred feline ended up having a leg issue. And drama. It's like, why is she acting strange? And then we realized she was limping with one of her back legs. So she got some medicine for it. She got real kind of dazed and confused for a couple of days, and then everything seemed to be okay. Oh, that gave me a little bit more light. Hold on. We recently had bulbs put in down the hall. No. Now that I think about that, my girlfriend. Just trying to get myself just a little bit more light, something where you can actually see my face, even if it blows me out. Gently. Where's the plug? Let's see. Does this thing even still work? Damn, that answers that question. All right, I'm back, and now you can actually kind of see me. Not that I think you'd want to. I'm very frightening. I've never done this before on my channel. I remember trying to set up a stream a couple years ago, and all of the jargon, it was completely beyond me. I didn't know what the hell they were asking me. You got to get this set up, and you got to connect it with this, and I'm like, no, not following that. But I got a hankering for like I don't know. I wanted to sit here and talk a little bit. I'm playing old school Mario Kart, like double dash, old school Mario Kart, and I'm gonna lean in to play the game a little bit better, but also so you can maybe hear my voice a little bit better, because I remember a while back doing this story, vlogging it and then never actually posting it, because there's actually a lot of random vlog videos I do that never get posted. I decide after a while, I don't really want to do that, or laziness plays its part from time to time. I'm certainly not going to lie about that, but what is this? Is that a friend? I don't know. I mean, it's 1:49 in the morning. I'm certainly not expecting people to be watching me at this time of the night. But if you stumble onto it and you're like, oh, Steve's going live. When the heck did that start happening? Well, right now, May 1st, 2020. Or at least it's been May for almost 2 hours. And anyway, story time. I've been talking for almost 4 minutes. Maybe I should get into the crux of what I was going to talk about. I'm just going to game a little bit while I'm doing it, because I don't know. Sometimes doing something else physically while I'm thinking and talking about something, I'm one of those people that benefits me usually. But if you watched my channel enough, you've heard me reference maybe a couple times. I had this video posted on my old channel, or my original channel, because my original channel was also called Steve the Amateur Historian. And I started it in September 2016, like late September 2016. And it was just after I'd done a lot of traveling around with my girlfriend around town. I'd taken all these pictures in downtown, and I realized I was starting to really get interested. Really hadn't been before. I was really finally starting to get interested in my the city of Portland, its actual history, which I just really hadn't been. When it came to history, I was more of a bigger picture kind of guy, meaning like I was into like, the Kennedy assassination, which I still am, but like Martin Luther King's assassination, Robert Kennedy, all that stuff, the big picture, like American things, not really into the local. And I was finally starting to get into that, and I thought, why have I not just I didn't realize it was going to become as big as it did. It was an addiction. But I thought, why am I not just making a little YouTube channel, just do videos? I started doing a documentary that I never finished, and it was just going to be little vignettes about these really cool places in Portland that didn't really get the attention of more mainstream places like Union Station, things like that, Pioneer Courthouse, things that were a little bit more obscure. And I just thought, I'm getting sound, right? Oh, okay. Now I am. Oh man, that marker is reading really low, so I don't know how well I'm turning. I did a test with my photo booth thing that also uses the same microphone in this, and my voice was coming out pretty well. So my hope is that this stream is not a complete waste of time, or that people are gonna, the 2 or 3 people that may stumble upon this are gonna come on here and be like, Steve, we can't freaking hear you. This Mac is like 7.5 years old, and I remember a time where the microphone worked perfectly, and now it works better than it did before, but still not great. That's my analysis. But so I started my original YouTube channel. It was actually I called it Explore Oregon. I created a Facebook for that, and some of my earliest videos, I feel like I kind of deleted a lot of it out, but I would start my videos with like a 3-second, just simple black background and a title that said Explore Oregon, and then it would go into the video. I didn't have I just went off the edge. I didn't have like an intro bit like I do now, because obviously over time, I got blown off again. Over time, I decided, I need some kind of intro for my videos, like at least put a little effort into it. And I didn't have a nickname. I didn't have the moniker of Steve the Amateur Historian. My friend Nick started calling me that because we were actually we were going to invest a lot more time into, doing these exploration videos, and it never quite got off the ground. We became roommates, and we actually started exploring less than we did when we were living in separate places, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but he was starting to get more into crafting things and building things, which I totally understand. That's, he's a builder. He's one of those guys, give him wood and a hammer and a couple of nails and he'll make something. So we explored a lot, latter portion of 2016. And then really we kind of just stopped doing it around the start of 2017. I think someone's coming downstairs. Or they're just opening the door. I think I'm talking to myself. I don't know. I don't know. But again, originally we were talking about doing this was going to be like a big thing. We were going to promote ourselves, and we were going to get the merch and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that that's never going to happen, but that was like a key objective for us. And so we kind of, people who do this, they have their nickname. Not a lot of people that do their content in this style, not a lot of them just kind of use their regular name. A lot of them have that dynamic nickname. And my friend Nick started calling himself Local Pathfinder, like going down paths to find things. That was kind of his thing. And I needed a nickname. And while he was more on the exploration side of things, which obviously I was as well, I was a lot more about, even if I didn't know anything about a place before we visited it, afterwards, I would go and try to figure out what, if we found a rundown store that had been abandoned in a certain town, I would try to do the research, little though I may find, just to know what this was. I was very much interested in, like, who was here before we were. And so he kind of started calling me the amateur historian. And so once that became more and more of a thing, I decided around the start of 2017 to change the name of that first channel to Steve the Amateur Historian. And actually, when I recreated this channel, I was burnt out on the whole thing, to be honest. And when I deleted the channel, I really didn't have much intent on starting over again. We can see how that went, considering I have, like 600 videos on this channel. And sure, some of them are videos off of my old channel, but a lot of new stuff done over time. And I forget, I created a new YouTube channel because I wanted some of the good stuff that I'd done to still be out there for people to see. I hated that I had abruptly deleted my YouTube channel, and that, I only had like 105 subscribers, but there was 10, 15 people that commented and really liked my stuff, and then just my channel just vanished out of nowhere. And I wish I would have handled the situation in a more gathered way, but anyway, I'll get to that in a second. So after I deleted my channel, I just wanted the good stuff to have a place on YouTube, whether people really watched it or not. I really didn't have much investment in it. And I gave it some kind of corny name. My channel was called, like, The World We Walk In, or something like that. Some over the top name. And again, it was just kind of it was like an archive for what I had done on my other channel. So I created that like July 2017, and I wasn't really planning on it much happening. Like, yeah, I might, me and Nick at this point, like, we're still kind of contemplating doing more, but we didn't really, again, that never really materialized. And it just, we did a couple little things. We did our kayak trip. We did like a park exploration. We did a couple more things together, but, we'd have a really long conversation, and then it just kind of wouldn't happen. And it became pretty obvious after a while that big thing we were going for just wasn't going to happen. So that gave me kind of more incentive to think, I'm probably not going to be doing much more on this channel. And, I didn't really, I was trying to, focus in more on my film career thing. And I had done a film that wiped me out for pretty much half of 2015. I just was wiping myself out making this film. And it took me, it wasn't till spring 2017 before I got that done. And I was, it had been over a year since I'd actually filmed a movie. I was trying to get more back into that. And so that was, I didn't think that this channel was going to really be anything other than an archive with a periodic video here and there, if, the right event occurred. And then, it got to be, I didn't really post a lot, but once it got to be towards the end of 2017, I really started getting that hankering to do videos again. And then just, you keep coming up with, I just, kept coming up with new stuff. And that was the funny thing, was I kept thinking, I don't have a car. I can't really travel anywhere. I'm going to run out of stuff to do in Portland. And now I'm realizing how many different ways you can present the city that you live in. God, my voice is already getting hoarse. And so I just kind of started doing it, and I've just been constantly, not constantly, but consistently is a better word, consistently doing it ever since. Oh my God. I was going to cut my hair before this whole coronavirus thing took off. Not that it was short then, but look at this. Look at this garbage. Granted, I've had it much longer. and I'm still rocking the no shave quarantine beard, because why not? I mean, I call it no shave quarantine, and I might as well stick to that until the facial hair becomes just too much to handle. See, again, back. Okay, it was telling me my connection was unstable, so you may have lost me there for a second. Of course, the moment I actually start getting into my story. Anyway, I decided to become one of those guys. Again, I'd watch his content. And if you haven't, like, get off your ass. Um, I definitely think he was kind of an inspiring individual to me. Like, when I started my channel, I was like, I want to start doing what that guy does. At least to some degree. Definitely affected me in a positive way. And he, for like several years, posted a daily vlog every day for like 6 years or something like that, before he finally was like, I need a break. And even since then, he posts, sometimes he posts every day. Sometimes he'll post 3-4 days in a row. Sometimes he'll take a couple days off. He still really puts in the work. His daily vlog channel probably has, at least a couple thousand videos, and he vlogged every day. He vlogged for like, I think, about a little over 2,000 days in a row. But I kind of wanted to start following in that. And, I didn't really have a whole lot else going on. I really tried to start doing that daily vlog thing, but I still had a day job, and I had a girlfriend that I needed to spend time with, and I didn't have a car. So getting to locations, and it was something where it was like I really had to dedicate a lot of time. Not to say Adam the Woo doesn't, but it was just really hard not having a vehicle to travel around in. And just ultimately, I did it. I managed to post something, because I would pretty much go out, twice. So I would dedicate pretty much all my days off from work, and just try to do a couple videos worth of subject matter per day, so that I could literally post a video every day. And I managed to do that for about 3 months, and that alone killed me. I just got wiped out, and I was like, I'm not gonna not vlog anymore, but I was so wiped out. Because it was like I was doing that, and then trying to figure out what's my next, like, movie I'm gonna do. I have a job that I work 4 to 5 days a week at. And then I'm having to travel, and, just taking one way from when I was living, now I live in Portland, but I was living south of there. And, I couldn't, it took like almost an hour just to get to downtown, much less other areas that were further away. So it was rough. It would burn, just to get, a couple videos worth of content from places that were close to each other. That, doing that and the trip, that burned hours out of my day. And then you had to go home and edit the stuff. It took over my life. And, had my channel blown up, and had I gotten to a point where immediately I was like, a couple 100,000 viewers or something, and I'm getting, maybe a couple promos, and I'm starting to make money off of my channel. Had all of that happened, and I'm not saying that that can't happen. I'm just saying, for now, that's not the case. I might have stuck to it more, but I would have also been able to work my day job less, because I would have been having an alternate form of income. And it just wiped me out. And so I think I just wasn't in a great place as we got to, like, springtime 2017, because I deleted my channel in April 2017. And I decided, and it seemed like a great idea at the time, and of course most of the videos were fine. So a lot of it I've reposted on this channel. I decided, it got to be January, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do videos on now? And I'm like, oh, it's almost Black History Month. So I decided, oh, I can do a string of videos in relation to Portland's Black history, which actually was really good for me because it helped me kind of discover something hadn't really noticed before, which was honestly kind of my own deep internal racism that you almost don't know is there. So that when people walk around and say, "Well, I don't say the N word. I work with a black guy. I have a black friend," and that leads white people to say that there's no there's nothing racist about them whatsoever, and there's always going to be a little something there, and sometimes you may not discover it. And here I went practically 30 years without knowing it, and researching Black history in Portland is this history that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. The areas that were Portland's Black neighborhood, back up until the like early 90s, it was this part of Portland that never got the funding it needed, never got the help it needed. Just it was forgotten because it was the Black neighborhood. And it was, North Portland. It was called the Albina area because Albina was a town that had been kind of the main area there, but it encompassed a lot of neighborhoods. The Elliott neighborhood, the Boyce neighborhood. There's a lot of them. I'm forgetting a lot of them off the top of my head, probably because it's after 2 in the morning. But that became, Portland's Black neighborhood. And, Portland went through a massive gentrification phase starting in the early 90s. And they finally fixed these areas up. And then it got too expensive for a lot of the, African American people there who had, lived here for decades and been ignored by the people. And then when finally the help came, it priced a lot of these people out of their homes. So now you have all these white people, not to knock them, but you have all these white people now who are living in a lot of these homes that, African American people were living in. And, they've got their, Black Lives Matter signs in their windows. And I'm like, do you even realize the history of your own town? Like, obviously, support Black Lives Matter. But, you've got these white people that don't even want to talk about, the problematic racial history of their own city. And then they've got that. Anybody can put a sign in their window that says they support something. But at the same time, like, you're living in a house right now because you're, a white person or a white family that's getting by pretty well. And it's possible that, an African American family lived in the house that you lived in. And the reason they don't live there anymore isn't because they got sick of the neighborhood or because they wanted to leave, but potentially because they were priced out of where they lived. So it definitely put a lot of things into perspective that, like a dum-dum, I hadn't really thought about before. And I had to understand my own internal racism, that racism way beneath the surface that you just, again, may not even know was there. Like, I started reflecting on how growing up, the drug connection came into North Portland, or at least it blossomed in the 80s. And, people who lived in Northeast Portland would talk about how they'd sit on their front porch and half the people that would go by were crackheads. You'd see, someone out working out on a run. Then you'd see a crackhead. See a woman walking by pushing her baby in a stroller. Then you'd see a crackhead. Someone walking their dog. Crackhead. It was just, that was kind of what the area was turning into in the 80s. And so, I was born in 85. And so, when I was born right at around the time that stuff was peaking. And so, a lot of people, especially if you were white, you didn't want to go into North Portland or Northeast Portland, more North Portland at the time, because it was kind of generally known that, there was the drug connection there and there was gang violence and all that stuff. And so growing up, I was told as a kid, North Portland's dangerous. You don't go to North Portland. North Portland, North Portland. No, 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 no. Hold on a second. My Mac is about to die. Son of a bitch. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna have to lose the light for a second. Oh, I lost it all. That's awesome. Whatever. Okay. Come here. Please tell me you're gonna work. Okay, good. Okay, so I can plug the light back in. Are we still? Oh my God. One thing works and then the other thing doesn't. Okay. Woo, are we still going? Oh man. Wait, are we? Okay. This thing fried my battery. My battery was at 65% when I started this. All of a sudden I look up and like, your battery's about to die. No. I ended up dislodging the GameCube, so I lost the game I was playing, but it's not like I was paying. I don't even know what place I was in, where my scoring was at. I'm just doing this for fun. And also because staring at my computer is probably going to give me a freaking headache. So, you know, good. It just went for good. Sometimes this battery won't charge. It's an oddity. Usually it does, but you got to make sure it's saying like how long before, calculating how long till it's going to start. Otherwise, it might not charge, and then your battery's going to die on you. So anyway, as I was saying, growing up in North Portland, or not growing up in North Portland, but growing up, and you're told over and over again, North Portland's a bad, and of course it's all these suburban white people, whoever you grow up around, they tell you, oh, North Portland's bad. North Portland, that's where the violence is, that's where the drugs are, that's where the bad people are. All this stuff, that's the ghetto, that's the poverty-ridden hellhole. You don't go near there because it's not safe. So you're taught that growing up to a point where it's like embedded into your head. And then as you grow up, you notice, because even as when I was a little kid, there was still, it was still the Albina area, North Portland, that was considered where the majority of Portland's black citizens were living. And so as a little kid, you keep getting told, oh, well, this is the bad area. This is the dangerous area. This is where the crime is. This is where the drugs are. And then you also notice that this is where there's a higher black population. And you learn to equate black people with crime, with drugs, with poverty, with all of these things. That's certainly a lot of African American people have to struggle with, but you start to equate them together like they go together. And you start to develop a racist perspective at that point because you're correlating the two together. So you start thinking to yourself, oh, well, is there something to this idea that black people are poor, black people are supposed to be in the ghetto? And all this just messed up nonsense because you're a little kid and you don't know any better, and you're learning based on what you're being told, how you're being educated verbally, and then corresponding that with what you see visually. And I realized I grew up, when I was a little kid, correlating these things, correlating African American people with poverty, drugs, violence, all these negative things. And I remember even being a kid in elementary school and, having some of those thoughts, if there was a black kid in my class, was he like this? Was he like that? Was he going to grow up and be like this? And there you are. You have a racist perspective on things. And I didn't even really think about it that much because a lot of those thoughts kind of went away. But the fact of the matter is that they were put there to begin with for me to have to ultimately get away from. And not everybody that has thoughts like that put into their head are going to lose them. Some of them are going to embrace those. And then you have someone who's just, a lifelong racist son of a bitch. And so it was actually a very beneficial venture, but at the same time, you know, I, I came in with this kind of naive. It was, and I ended up doing a video for this series that I shouldn't have done, and it led to me deleting my channel. And, you know, when you first start, especially when you're someone like me who hadn't really done a lot of YouTubing to that point, and there's a certain essence of naivete, so to speak, that, you think because you're discussing history that everybody will understand your purpose in doing a video. Everybody thinks your motives are true, and you think your motives are true. I'm discussing history, whether it's history like this or history like that, whether it's popular history, whether it's happy history or sad history. But not everybody is going to be welcoming to what you're trying to do, and you do need to. If you're going to do video content that might piss some people off, any video you do can piss someone off. But the key matter is when we talk about your video pissing someone off, does that mean like someone's going to be like, oh, I hated this video. What you said was dumb. There's that kind of pissing people off. But there's also like, are you going to post a video where people are going to come over and say, hey, you don't get to talk about this. People like getting to a confrontational state that kind of disorients you and makes you really uncomfortable. Certain types of content are going to gauge that kind of reaction. And honestly, here I am, literally. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm this white suburban kid. That's what I've always been. I've lived in Portland for about 3 years of my life, the actual city limits of Portland, for about maybe 3.5 years of my life. The other 31 years, I've lived in suburbs of Portland, areas that were much safer than Portland, areas that were admittedly whiter than Portland in certain circumstances. I was just this white suburban kid. And so I stuck my head into some history that, by all means dive in and research it, but it wasn't really my history to tell. And I've shot a lot of video footage in Albina because I want to do like an all-encompassing documentary series about the history of Albina as Portland's Black community and all that happened there. But as the white suburban guy, I don't want it to be like, because I really want to do this at some point, and I've already shot the video for it, or shot a lot of like, B-roll type stuff for it. But I don't want it to be, like what I've done, because a lot of the documentary type stuff I've done is, me going to places, me writing my own voiceovers. I don't want it to be that way because it's not my history. I don't want to tell it through, sure, maybe like, some really great interviews and talking to the right people, but then in the end, I'm still doing like all of the voiceovers, and it's still like this white guy talking about the history. Like, I wasn't born until 85, and a lot of the history I'm going to be talking about comes from before I was even born. So if I do it, I really don't want there to even be voiceovers. I want it to be told through the stories. I want to talk to people in the Portland area who lived this life or who are, educated about what happened here. I want it to be their stories, not me telling their stories. But I'm invested enough in the history, and I hate that it's kind of being pushed down. It's like, oh, well, that's old history, and we don't need to talk about that anymore. Bullshit, we don't need to talk about it anymore. And, a lot of documentaries that have been done kind of generally about that area don't really go deep enough into the struggles that people really faced. Again, stuff that I have no experience in, but I would like to hear those stories told by people who actually lived those experiences. Again, the closest I can get to this is educating myself the best I can, but I'm never going to understand it because I'm a white guy. And on top of that, I'm a white guy who's a suburban white guy. And, I'm a white guy who was born in the 80s. So I'm not going to know what it was like when the, 67 kind of small riots happened in Portland. I wasn't even alive. But anyway, getting back to my objective here is I ended up doing a video that in hindsight I shouldn't have done because it was one of those things where it was just asking for trouble, and I was naive and didn't think about it and didn't think about how this could be and I did a video that discussed it was kind of going a lot of the videos I'd done a video about like Martin Luther King visiting Portland, prominent locations for the earliest days of the NAACP, things like that. And then I did a video about a kind of a prominent local gang member who lived into the 90s, and therefore it was fairly recent history, which meant, and I did a video talking about this guy and his background and going to certain locations that were related to this individual. I don't even want to say his name because I don't want to deal with it. And in hindsight, I got way too freaked out. Again, it's that suburban, I've never been like, I got mugged a couple of years ago and the guy told me he had a gun, but it's not like he beat the hell out of me. When you grow up, again, admittedly, moderately, at least sheltered to the point that like, I haven't had, obviously I haven't had to, face gun violence or any kind of violence, what have you. If you haven't had to face real tough struggles, you kind of sometimes, and again, I'm an introvert. I'm very sorry. My nose is getting really itchy. It's the allergy season. I'm very protective of my life. And when I feel slightly threatened, in certain circumstances, I kind of freak out initially. That's sometimes my first response is to freak out. And, it might take me an hour to bring myself back down to earth and be like, okay, dude, you're fine. Reflect on this. And you'll hopefully see how kind of dumb your behavior was just now. And that's what happened here was I had one of those. I'm not used to being threatened in any way, shape, or form. I'm not used to feeling endangered in that sort of way. And so therefore I took something that you certainly would be cautionary about, but I took it like, oh my God, I'm going to die tonight. And that ultimately led to the end. But essentially, I did this video about this prominent, gang guy that was involved in, a lot of the, chaos that was going on in the late 80s and into the 90s. And, it was recent enough that there was, people that were associated with this guy. This guy died young and in the 90s. And, there were people who were associated with this guy who are like, in their 40s now. So it's not like this was an old story where everybody involved is dead. And I posted the video. It was the last one in my series. So I posted it like right at the end of February. Got some views, not much, like most of my videos. And we got to some point in like mid-April. And I got a comment from someone, and it was something like, and obviously somebody either saw the video and was starting to spread it around to people, because again, this video was not getting a lot of views, and all of a sudden it started getting a few more, and I started suddenly getting comments out of nowhere. So I think somebody, either somebody who commented it or just somebody had seen the video and was spreading it around, like, look what this guy has posted on his YouTube about this, this stuff that he really has no business talking about. And I didn't. And so the first comment I got was just a guy saying, my stuff was fake, like I was fake and full of crap, which fine, whatever. But then, like, sorry, my voice is starting to go south, but within an hour of seeing that comment, I got another comment that was a lot longer, much more elongated. And it was, and again, this could have been some guy just shooting his mouth off. This could have been some guy who, lived on the other side of the country, God knows what. But essentially, this guy was implying, obviously, that he was like directly in the know, like he was probably an associate or something at some time of this guy that I'd done my video about. And he made some kind of, I guess you could say, subtle threats against me. They didn't feel subtle at the time. They felt very direct. But essentially it was, hey, you need to shut the hell up and, find other stuff to do your little videos on. And when I started the video, because it was when I was living at the apartment I used to live at. And when I started the video, I usually would start my video as I was leaving my apartment and then, walking down to my bus stop. And then that would be what I would do before, like, my intro credits came on or whatever. And then, after the intro, boom, I'd be at whatever location I wanted to be at. And so the guy put in the comments something to the effect of, like, if you're going to, post shit like this, stuff that's going to get you in trouble with certain people, again, talking about this gang guy and talking about the gang life, you're going to piss the wrong people off and someone's going to, pardon my language, but he essentially said, you better watch out because someone's going to fuck you up. And he made a comment that, hey, if I was you doing this kind of stuff, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be showing people where you live, in essence referencing my opening where I show myself, even though, I wasn't like, oh, I live at this address at such a street, but still kind of showing where I live and someone could figure out where you live. You shouldn't be showing people where you live because someone could come and mess you up. Again, probably nothing was going to come of that, but being this white suburban kid, I didn't know. And, not being used to being threatened and knowing that I'd done a video about this guy that was involved with people that could really mess me up, potentially. I didn't know who this guy was that was commenting towards me. I didn't know if this guy was just a loudmouth or if this guy was being serious, but it scared the shit out of me. Genuinely scared the shit out of me. And I of course, I was at work. I went on a break, pulled my phone out, looked at my YouTube. Oh, I've got some new comments. And it was, these ones. And I don't have panic attacks, but I have moments where I get just freaked out to a point that I can't really focus like I need to. Again, like I was talking about before, this whole notion of, freaking out. And the moment I saw that comment, first thing I did was I deleted the video. Boom, done. And it was the moment I saw the comment, I was like, dude, you shouldn't have stuck your face into stuff like this. At least without, I don't know. I shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done the video. It was a dumb mistake. To this day, I acknowledge it was a dumb mistake. And I took the video down. But I didn't feel safe because I didn't know who this person was, and because, the guy that I talked about was this gang member who lived in the Portland area. How was I supposed to know whether or not this guy that had left this threatening message How was I supposed to know if this guy didn't live in Portland? That this guy didn't live a couple miles from me? I didn't know. And so I was just panicked. And so I was just like, literally for my safety, I was like, I have to delete my channel. I have to delete my channel. And I had such a piece of crap phone that I was literally able to delete every video that I had, but I couldn't delete the channel. I wanted to delete anything that this guy could see to possibly find out for certain where I live. I didn't think there was going to be someone waiting outside my apartment with a friggin', shotgun or anything like that. But I didn't want to mess around with this. I wanted to, you know, play it safe, and I didn't want to spend the rest of the day wondering if somebody was trying to find me. Again, going way over the edge. I mean, obviously, I should have taken some caution with a message like that, but I should have also sat down and taken a little bit of time to just kind of process, okay, what is this really? But I just started panicking and boom, just deleted everything. And it was like, I was so frantic and scared. It didn't matter to me that all this work I'd built up over time, it didn't matter. And just boom, it was gone. And I really wish, but again, I didn't want to at this point, I didn't want anybody to even know who I was on YouTube. Didn't want anybody to know who I was. And so, because of that, one of the things I really wished was that I could have done something without, this sketchy guy. Whoever left the comment probably didn't even take down my channel name, probably didn't even look over my channel much, just commented and then went about. But I thought, obviously someone saw the video and was spreading it around to certain people that were displeased by its existence. And so I just kept wondering, like, who else, of these types of fellows are watching this video, and who is going to take it much more seriously and aggressively than even this guy that left these threatening comments. I wanted my channel gone. I did not want these people to be able to even know who I was and that I was this guy that made this video one time. And so, it sucked because I was at work. You're not even supposed to have your cell phone out when I was at work, but it was also like and I explained to them, and I was really shaken up. But I still explained to, my fellow coworkers, like, what was bothering. I showed them the comment, and I'm like, I just wanted to leave the channel. And my cell phone was such a piece of garbage that I couldn't figure out how to delete my channel. And I had to kind of get back to work, but I was also freaking out about this. So it was like I kind of put work on hold so I could. And finally, I figured it out. And it's funny because even though I supposedly deleted the channel, it still kind of pops up. It's still almost like regarded as a channel. I'll see it. It'll just say AH for amateur historian, and like a picture. I even changed the profile picture because I couldn't fully get rid of it. So I changed the profile picture to like whatever the first picture was in my phone. Or I took like a picture of just out the window of the bus or something when I was leaving work. Just something that I could post there that wouldn't show anything about me. And that picture is still on there. I wish I could change this over to a screen capture because I'm pretty sure if I you're still going, right? Just making sure because I'm like clicking stuff. But I'm pretty sure if I try to open all of my yes, there's my Steve pool. Actually, I guess it's not showing up anymore, but every now and then it will. It's shown up in the past, even though I supposedly deleted the channel, 3 years ago. But yeah, I was so freaking scared by that situation. And, I got home and I deflated and realized how over the top I'd been. I mean, again, should have taken it seriously, but I shouldn't have had a total just freak out. And again, I was not in the best place when this was going on. And I was admittedly getting burnt out on doing the vlogging stuff, especially since, I didn't really have a growing fan base. Here it was, I'd been vlogging consistently for about 7 months. And I just, And I had like 100 subscribers for all my efforts, and it was just like, this isn't going anywhere. And it's been beneficial because I feel like this channel's grown a lot quicker. And another thing that was going on that was really stressing me out was, and I've talked about this before, was me and my friend got busted. We, did our video, which I have it on this channel now, because now that we've already had our, we already went to court, so it's like we're not going to get in trouble for it again. I reposted the video of our travels through the Blue Heron paper mill in Oregon City, which we kept hearing stories that it was going to get demoed soon, and we were like, well, we want to get in there and, get a little something to remember it by, because it was, that area of Oregon City had just been mills for so long, and finally that history was going to be gone. So we went in there with a pure motivation, but we knew we were trespassing. And that's what sucks is, there's YouTubers on here who have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. They get, hundreds of thousands of views on their videos, sometimes over 1 million. And they'll openly admit, when they're not necessarily openly admit that they're trespassing, but they'll openly admit, like, yeah, here we are going into the place, and, we're trying to look out for security. And it's like, they know that they're not supposed to be there. I mean, I'm sure some people have gotten busted, but I swear, these big YouTubers that are getting seen by a lot of people will openly admit that they're, perhaps not legally visiting a certain place, and they never get in trouble for it. And here, me and my friends snuck around the Blue Heron paper mill, did a video that got about 250 views. The wrong person saw it. Boom, that person makes a complaint to the police. We get served citations by an Oregon City police officer, who, by the way, was a super nice guy. I thought it was a bullshit that this person was putting us through this, but, a video that got maybe, 200, 250 views, and they filed a complaint, and me and my friend had to go to court on a trespassing charge, which we could have been fined up to $1,200 for that. But again, it sucks that, of barely exploring, barely having any followers, and we got screwed like that. And I know it happens sometimes, and it's the risk you take, but I was really stressed out, and we got served with that. Like, it was within the week. It was like 5-6 days before this thing happened with my YouTube channel. So all of a sudden, Nick wasn't as stressed as I am, because he just doesn't get as stressed. But I was genuinely worried, because you could get 30 days in jail even. And I thought logistically, we're not going to go to jail. One of our benefits was neither one of us had a criminal record. But I thought, what if this is one of those judges that wants to make an example of you, and, that shit, which it was all just, anxiety. I admit I have pretty bad anxiety about certain things, and one of them is dealing with legal stuff. So we'd literally just been cited, and I didn't know exactly what our final penalty was going to be. And then that happened, and it was just so much. And all of a sudden, it was just like, here I was, a guy busting his ass trying to make YouTube work, and what did I have for it? No subscribers, maybe 3 or 4 people that regularly watched my stuff. I had one video kind of blow up for like 2 days, and that was about it. And I'd come away, in the course of a week, I'd come away with, a trespassing charge, and now people were threatening my life in the comments section on another one of my videos, and I was just like, well, you know what? I don't want to do this shit anymore. If I want to bust my ass, and then this is going to be my reward for it, is people are going to be threatening me, threatening me. And I just, didn't really want to do it anymore. I was burnt out on it. And I was just like, I felt like I was being, again, I know we trespassed. And again, I know I shouldn't have done this one other video. So I know there was, justifications for why I was dealing with this drama, but it was also like, and there was some, again, naivete to it all. This, like, I'm trying to do the right thing, preserving history and talking about history and all this, and people are just getting mad at me, And Whew, I actually have some comments. Oh, what do you know? Trespassing. Not in Multnomah County. It was in Clackamas County. It was down in Oregon City. And what I loved about it, because apparently even the officer we spoke to was just, he said that the person who I guess made the complaint was just the biggest dick. And he was like, I don't even like that I'm having to serve these to you guys, but it's only because they're, and he told us that I guess some teenagers, 14, 15-year-old kids had gotten actually caught walking around in there. And you can tell that, people had like explored there and urbexed in there. There was one spot where someone had like taken like chalk and written like, oh, so and so urbexer was here, and we were like, oh, hey man, whoever you are. And it was just where's my mind? It's gone. So this guy was a dick, and he called the police on these teenagers, and he wanted them to like arrest the kids on site. And the officers was like, no, that's not how this works. It isn't a freaking felony. These guys weren't like, they didn't like break into your car on the lot and steal your stuff. And so yeah, here we were trespassing, and he wanted us prosecuted to the full extent of the law, so to speak. And what was so great, because these guys, here, me and my buddy Nick, neither one of us has a criminal record. And so this guy was going to get, this little trespassing misdemeanor put on our record. And again, I was still kind of nervous, like, what are you going to get? And then I knew that trespassing was a Class C. It was a Class C misdemeanor. Of course, I'd done all my research. And so there was a lot of just sketchy people that were unresponsive. I remember this one girl came up to the judge, and the judge was like, blah, 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 do you understand? And the woman was literally like, yeah, like just not there. And a guy got called up, couple people before me. And the woman and the judge, who I'd actually had for like, I got a stupid ticket couple years earlier, and it was the same judge. And this guy gets called up for a Class C misdemeanor. So I start paying attention, because I'm thinking, okay, whatever happens to this guy, whatever his judgment is, that's probably going to be what we get. And it turned out this guy had, I think he was drunk. He had dropped his pants outside of a restaurant and started peeing on the wall. And of course, a bunch of people saw it. Oh, sorry, God, my voice is gone. And yeah, so again, this guy, whoever he was, he wanted us to get, something on our record. Well, this guy who goes up and pees on the wall, he did something a lot worse than what we did, obviously. And he and the judge was like, all right, well, if you essentially plead, if you just say like, yeah, I did it, I take responsibility, you'll get dropped down to a $500 fine, and it'll just be a violation. It'd be, again, almost like a parking ticket. And I was like, I felt so much easier after that, because I thought, yeah, we snuck into a building, but we were, we were trying to preserve history. We had a positive agenda for being in there. And so I figured, if this guy peed on a building in front of a bunch of people and he's only getting a violation and $500 charge, I'm probably going to get something similar. And then, of course, I went up there, and that's what I got. Sorry. Oh, the allergies are killing my nose. I know I look like I'm withdrawing from drugs. Nope. The only drugs I've ever done are weed, and that didn't go well. So I go up there, and the same thing happens. She's like, all right, if you just, acknowledge here that you did it, we'll have it dropped down to a violation. And then you'll pay your $500 fine. Just like, you know, sucks, but it could have been worse. And I remember we walked out of there and we felt so good. And the thing that I felt so great about was I was like, ha ha ha. Yeah, this guy thought he was going to get us on a felony charge, or not a felony, but a misdemeanor, something that would actually, be on the record. And we walked out of there with a violation and still nothing. Or we technically, yeah, we have a violation, but technically we have no criminal record still. So I just love that in the end, that jackass didn't get what he wanted. Wasn't even planning on talking about that, but it happened. It was happening right in sync with when this other thing was happening. And I was just like, God, I don't want to do the YouTube anymore. And this was in April 2017. And so I legitimately just stopped doing it. And again, made my current channel under some random ass name. And again, it was just going to be an archive channel, really. That was going to be it. And then, around the end of 2017, I just started getting a hankering to vlog again. You walk away from it long enough and it can pull you back in. And of course, I've been doing stuff pretty consistently since then. I mean, again, I have like over 500 videos on this channel. Granted, some of them don't really have much purpose on the channel. I've thought about privatizing some of them just to clear the clutter. I kind of started making this channel my like random life experiences channel, or telling random stories about my past that just didn't really fit in with the whole like, let's explore, let's look at Portland and Portland history and this cool building and that cool building and just blah 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 blah. Just So yeah, April 2017 sucked, but it could have ended worse. But it also taught me a lot about what you probably shouldn't be doing on YouTube, like talking about stuff that really just isn't up your alley. And now I'm really thinking about, because I'm still doing my daily, like, quarantine story things. I'm probably going to dial those. I'm just trying not to wipe myself out because, I'm trying not to spend an excessive amount of time on my computer because of my dry eye stuff, and just being on my computer too long doesn't help the situation. But I'm working on a couple of side projects, and hopefully, by the start of summer, we'll be able to get out of our damn houses, breathe in some of that air that's actually going to be clean for a while, till, of course, all the people start going out and driving their cars more again, and we end up frying the environment again after like a week of being out there. But I really just want to get out there again so freaking bad. But gotta deal, gotta suck it up. You gotta do it. But one of my benefits is I've actually, while I'm on temporary unemployment, I'm actually making more money than I made at my job. Isn't that a comment on, the status of, I'm above minimum wage, but it's like a status of minimum. Like, I'm even making above minimum wage, and right now I'm making more money on unemployment than I'd be making at my job. And I actually have a little extra. I want to like put a little extra money to the side, and towards like future endeavors, like things for my channel that you actually have to spend money to make happen. Usually the only money I'm spending on terms of content for my channel is just paying for, TriMet. Get where I need to go. And Lord knows I ain't going anywhere near TriMet right now. It would have to be a life and death situation for me to go anywhere near a Max car or a bus. I mean, they're dirty enough as it is. Right now, it's just escalated. Whew. Oh my God, my throat is shot. But that is, I mean, that is essentially what led to the ending of my first channel. And my first live stream. Even when I go out and explore, I'm probably not going to be doing live streams because I have limited data. Because again, when I'm not on when I'm not on unemployment, I there's certain things I have to be just like cheap. I just have to be cheap about, you know. And one of them is cell phone stuff. I just, so I have a minimum amount of gigs of data available to me. And of course, I'll use all those up and then some if I try to go out and like outside live streaming. So for now, that's not in the books. Maybe in the future, I'll, update that and maybe be able to do some more live streaming outdoors. But I might do it a little bit more indoors, depending on obviously, whatever. This is more just kind of a test run. I just kind of felt like doing some video, something tonight. Didn't really know what I was going to talk about. I was like, oh, let's talk about why I have a second channel, or why I have a new channel. I had an original Steve the Amateur Historian channel, and that has gone to hell. So yeah, just that was the. Sorry, there was a shell coming at me. That was the main focus, and I didn't even know if I was going to do a live stream. I just thought I might just set up my phone and record a long video, and sometimes I've done long videos where I just sit down and talk, and then I post it, and it's like what I'm doing is like so close to just being a live stream. Why don't I just live stream it? Especially since I'll have these long videos that I end up having to edit a little bit. Whereas if you're live streaming, you don't have to edit. I mean, it's kind of understood that, you might have to step away for a second or something like that. Some people do 3-hour long live streams, but the first like 20 minutes is them just getting set up because like they weren't ready. So yeah, I might try doing this a little bit more often. We'll see. Obviously I'll have to think of things to talk about. I don't want to just be one of those people that's just like, hey, I'm just filling in some time because it's freaking almost 3 in the morning. And my sleep schedule, oh my God, my sleep schedule is gone. I go to bed at about 4 to 5 in the morning and wake up about 1 to 2 in the afternoon, and I can't get my system to change. I go to bed, so like, it got to be about what, a little over an hour, so it got to be a little after 1:30, and I'm like, well, I know I ain't going to sleep for a couple hours, so that's the one thing that this quarantine has done to me is, now I don't have to get up early for work. There's no need to, other than I want to be awake during the daytime. There's no incentive to be, wake up specifically at this time to follow, the usual system. People go to sleep around, between 9 o'clock and midnight and wake up between 6 and 9. Not when you ain't got a job to go to presently. Yeah, I really don't know how long before my work is opening back up. At least they haven't shut down permanently, but yeah. Maybe I'm just going to do another live stream just talking about my personal quarantine experience, because there's been some interesting stuff, but again, I mean, most people, it's just kind of like, holy shit, I've actually been, it's almost like 6 weeks. Yeah, I've been quarantined for almost 6 weeks, because then it was like, yeah, because it's about mid-March when I temporarily lost my job. And, here we are, May's just started. I can't believe that I've only left my house like 5 times. I don't know. One thing I do know is my voice is dying, so I'm if you weren't here at the start, I'm playing old school Nintendo 64. Mario Kart. Me and my girlfriend play this all the time. It's old, but we never get bored of it. And I actually, because I have no gaming consoles. I've owned maybe 3 gaming consoles in my life. I'm not a gamer. I'm not one of these guys that's got, 4 or 5 different things. I'm not one of these guys that's looking to shill money out the moment the next Xbox or PlayStation comes out. But that being said, I bought an Xbox One for the sole objective of playing Grand Theft Auto 5 again. Because when I moved into my apartment with my friend back in 2017, we had 2 other roommates, and one of them had that Xbox. And I got to play for about 2 months, and it was just like literally 3 years later, and I still am like I was obsessed with the idea of someday getting an Xbox One. Obviously, I'll get other games, but it was the sole drive was Grand Theft Auto 5. So that should be getting here in a couple of days, and then, hey, I won't be quite so bored during quarantine because I've been vlogging like crazy. I've been actually working, video stuff most of this quarantine, and I'm feeling kind of wiped out, and I kind of just want to chill and, game and watch movies for a little while. Yeah. And that's about it. This is actually perfect time because I'm on Rainbow Road and I'm on the last lap, which means I've only got like less than a minute before I'm done, which is good because I need to start thinking about going to bed, even though I know if I try to go to sleep now, I'm going to lay there for like an hour and a half before that new internal clock kicks in. But, whatever. Fuck you, Blue Shell. I'm glad I got out everything I wanted to say. Not that I had some grandiose message to bring to people. This is just my first time doing this. It's a dry run. I don't know the system yet. I mean, obviously I'm getting it figured out, but maybe I'll actually try doing a live stream when there's a lot more people awake. But for now, oh man, my voice is shot. I need to eat again. Not that it's incredibly healthy to be eating at 3 a.m, but I need to eat. I've had like 1 meal today. And yeah, I'm done. I'm wiped. And I finished. What was my 158 out of 160 points? Not bad considering I wasn't really paying attention. I guess I won all but 1 race. I really honestly wasn't paying attention. Overall time 34:37. It's okay for the 16 tracks. Anyway, I gotta get off this thing. But this was fun. I feel like this could get a little addictive for me. Doing this streaming, joining the stream game, 10 years after everybody else started doing it. But thank you so much for watching. However much you saw, if it was the whole thing or 20 seconds, just thanks so much. Check out my channel for just all the freaking crap I posted on here. If you're interested in Portland history, yada yada yada. And until next time, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian, and see y'all later.